Angela Bridges is a young and beautiful businesswoman who works in a midtown Manhattan office block. On Christmas Eve, she is still busy with her work. Her colleague, Jim, comes to her office. He apologizes to her because he has made a fatal mistake. But it is not explained what mistake Jim has made. However, she forgives him. After he leaves, she calls her family and it is revealed that she has promised to come to the family dinner wearing the Santa Claus costume. She is happy to do that for her 2 nephews. She continues her work late into the night until the previously bustling office becomes even quieter. When she finally wants to go home, she meets Carl, the office security officer. He wants to lock the doors in the office and she decides to go with him. They both go downstairs using the elevator and have a chit-chat. He says that the building will be closed for 3 days because of the Christmas holiday. To get to the basement, Angela needs to change the elevator in the lobby because the previous elevator ended by the lobby. On the way to the parking lot, she calls her sister. Her sister reports to her that she has been awaited by her nephews. But their conversation is interrupted because she lost the signal in the basement. Arriving at the car, she tries to start the car but it won't work. Somehow, she also feels someone is watching her. Giving up on starting the car, she gets out and plans to take a taxi home. She wants to order a taxi from the lobby so she goes to the elevator. But the door to the elevator is already locked. She headed for the security post nearby. Arriving there, she is surprised by the bark of a guard dog named Rocky. Rocky belongs to Thomas, a security guard there. She asks him to open the door to the main building. But he says it would be difficult to find a taxi on Christmas Eve, and took the initiative to lend him a battery charger for her car. She finally agreed to try charging her car. After several tries, the car won't start. She finally gives up and thanks Thomas for the help. She continues with her plan to grab a taxi and asks him to open the door to the elevator. On the way, he invites her to have a Christmas dinner with him. This confuses her, but he tells her that he was just kidding. This set a bit of relief on her face. She's so tired that she just wants to get out of there. When she gets to the lobby, everyone has gone including Carl. She orders the taxi and calls her sister to inform her that she will be late. At that moment, she is so tired that she falls asleep while waiting for the taxi. Soon the taxi arrives. But all the exits from the lobby are locked. She is annoyed and rushed to the security guard's post in the basement. But when she is in the basement, the taxi leaves her and this makes her even more annoyed. Before long, the basement lights also begin to turn off. In the darkness of the basement, she walks slowly with fear, relying on the light from her cell phone. She feels that someone is following her but finds no one. She is tripped and her cell phone falls under the car. When she gets his phone back and stands up, there is Thomas behind her, covering her mouth and sedating her. When she wakes up, she finds herself at Thomas's guard post wearing a white open dress. Meanwhile, Thomas is wearing her Santa costume. The table is on set neatly like a Christmas dinner date. She starts to feel panicked. She is still dizzied from the effects of the anesthetic and feels like throwing up. As she stands up, she falls and realizes that her leg is chained to the table. She tries to digest the situation and starts to get angry. The atmosphere becomes even more uneasy because Thomas thinks the circumstances are normal and starts the topic of small talk. He tells her that he likes to read books and is currently reading a very good book. According to the book, when we love someone, we will forgive whatever their mistakes are. And he agreed to that. Angela realizes that Thomas is out of his mind. She threatens him that if she doesn't come home soon, his worried boyfriend will come soon. Initially, Thomas follows the chat about Angela's boyfriend. However, it turns out that he has stalked her and found out that she doesn't have a boyfriend. He even knows about her extended family. This actually gives him the idea of contacting her family so they wouldn't worry. Thomas then forced her to contact her family and lie so they wouldn't suspect her if she didn't come. Under threat and psychological terror from Thomas, she tells her family that she is suddenly getting sick and is now resting at home. Hearing the news from her, Angela's sister and mother only wish her a speedy recovery and a Merry Christmas. This time no one will be suspicious of what happened to her. Thomas is happy because he feels that her full presence is the best gift for him. In turn, he also gives her a cassette as a Christmas present. The tape contains CCTV footage of the elevator showing a drunk Jim trying to harass Angela. Apparently, that's what caused Jim to apologize to Angela at the beginning of the film. After that, Thomas takes her for a walk. As he unties the chains on her leg, she quietly picks up the fork on the table and stabs him in the back. She tries to run but trips over Thomas's feet. Due to the fall, Thomas manages to catch her easily and handcuff her hands. Seeing that, Rocky barks violently. Thomas is busy taking care of Angela and tells Rocky to be quiet. After the circumstances are once again under control, Thomas loads Angela into the car and takes her to the parking area of P4. There, Jim is tied to a chair. Thomas sees him as a rapist who did inappropriate things to a lot of women there. Thomas tells Angela to hit Jim. Angela thinks that Jim is actually a good man and has apologized to her. She begs Thomas to let him alone. Thomas tries to convince her that he is a bad guy who deserves it. Finally, she agrees to his order only to have her bonds untied and she can escape. Unfortunately, Thomas suddenly changes his mind. He feels that he is the one who should protect Angela, and he shouldn't have asked Angela to do that. He finally gets out of the car and beats Jim with his own hands. While Thomas is still provoking Jim, Angela tries to untie her hands to run away. Thomas starts to beat Jim very brutally. Angela, who is still tied to the car, keeps begging Thomas to stop. Thomas is getting annoyed because he feels that she is defending the wrong person. Thomas, who has let his emotions take over him, gets back into the car. He pushes Jim's chair and rams it into the wall until he is crushed. Even though his condition is severe, Jim still seems to be moving. Angela, who is in the passenger seat, keeps begging Thomas to stop. But he seems to really enjoy it. He crashes his car several times in the direction of Jim. He does it until Jim is dead in a horrible condition. Angela manages to open the door even though her hands are still tied. She immediately ran away. Thomas tells her to stay, but can't catch up with her because he is busy taking care of Jim's dead body. Angela tries to scream for help, but no one hears her from down there. She continues her run to the P2 area and rushes to Thomas' guard post. When she opens the door, she is startled by the barking of Rocky, who luckily is still chained up. She tries to use the telephone there but finds that the cord has been disconnected. Through CCTV, she learned that Thomas is still in the P4 area cleaning Jim's body. She then tries to take her cell phone from her bag even though she had to fight with Rocky, who bit her bag. She takes some keys and goes upstairs to look for a signal. Arriving at area P1, she tries to scream through the locked basement gate. Unfortunately, because it's Christmas Eve, it is very quiet outside. There's only one crazy homeless person up there who just imitates what she says. She becomes increasingly desperate and wonders about Carl's whereabouts. Through the gap in the fence, she stretched out her hand and managed to get a little signal. She dials 911. Behind her, she heard Rocky's voice. This shocks her and causes the cell phone to fall from her hand. She forced herself to reach for the cell phone but instead broke her fingernails. Hearing Thomas's voice getting closer, she decides to whisper his location and the problem to the phone. She hopes that the call is connected and the person on the other end can hear her. Shortly after, Thomas and Rocky come. But Angela manages to escape first. She goes to the entrance to the elevator by trying all the keycards she got from Thomas' post. But when she tries to use the elevator, the access to the lobby has been locked. Angela, who panicked because Thomas is getting closer, finally presses the button carelessly. In the elevator, she realizes that she couldn't run away from Thomas and chooses to stop the elevator. She tries to contact the elevator service provider's security via the telephone button there. After getting an answer from security, Angela feels a little relieved. But as it turned out, the telephone line in the elevator is connected to Thomas. Thomas pretended to be a security service provider just to get her to talk to him. Knowing this, she becomes furious and desperate. She then decides to turn off the elevator. She chooses to wait for help to arrive even though Thomas is not at his wit's end. He sends water through the elevator ceiling. This caused the water to flood the elevator. Angela shivered even more due to the cold, but persisted and refused to come out. As the water reaches her waist, the electricity starts to short out. Suddenly, something falls from above. Turns out it was Carl, who fainted and was seriously injured. Realizing the situation is no longer possible for her, she finally opens the elevator door. She tries to wake Carl one more time, but he doesn't move. Hopeless, she walks out into the parking lot and hides under the car. But because she was soaking wet, her feet left a trail of water. Therefore her steps are easily followed by Thomas. Thomas deflates the car's tires where Angela is hiding. She then runs again. He tries to chase her but fails to get her. Finally, Thomas returns to the post to see where Angela is via CCTV. She also plays a song and broadcasts it through speakers throughout the area. The song is Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley. The song is addressed to Angela, about how his Christmas would be sad without her. Angela, who hears the song, understands that Thomas is at his post. She takes an axe and destroys the CCTV cameras nearby so Thomas can't find out where she is. After getting an axe and destroying several CCTVs around her, she goes straight to Thomas' post. However, the room is empty but the TV is on. There is a video showing Thomas touching Angela's body while she is still unconscious. Seeing that, she becomes more angry and disgusted. She smashes the TV with the axe in her hand. From the monitor, she sees that 2 police officers have arrived. That means her call to 911 had made it through. When she turns around, there is Thomas, who immediately electrocutes her using a taser. This causes her to faint. Thomas cleans his guard post and the bloodstains on his face. He also changes his clothes and goes to the 2 policemen. Thomas informed them that nothing had happened. The police want to confirm his words and ask him to walk around. After they confirm the safety, Thomas is ushered back to his guard post. The 2 policemen then check the surroundings once again without him. Angela, who fainted, was put by Thomas in the trunk of his car so they don't notice her whereabouts. However, due to the flash of light from the police car, she wakes up. It takes her some time to realize the situation. Thomas turns on a song with a loud volume to cover Angela's voice. She screams for help, but the police don't hear her because of the song. The police find the place clean and say goodbye to Thomas. Angela finally manages to break down the trunk door using the crowbar she found in the trunk. But by the time she finally makes it to the gate, the policemen have gone away. At the gate, Thomas is left smiling with satisfaction. With his psychopathic soul, he releases Rocky to chase after Angela. Angela, who is panicked, takes the initiative to break one of the car windows and hide in the car. But Rocky manages to find out where she is and tries to attack her. He bit her leg. Angela defends herself and stabs Rocky with a crowbar in her hand until he is dead. She then ran to the car rental office located at P2 and intended to borrow a phone to call 911. However, the 911 line is busy and she needs to wait. She then finds a tool and tries to remove the handcuffs using the tool. Outside, Thomas finds his dog dead and becomes very upset. He feels that she is repaying his kindness with evil. He looks for her and finds her tracks to the car rental office. With a taser in hand, he walks to the office but only finds a telephone that is now connected to the police. He hangs up the phone and is now getting more annoyed by her. Angela, who had been hiding, set a trap for Thomas. When Thomas gets into the trap, she is ready with a sprayer to spray Thomas's eyes and hit him on the head. She ran away with one of the cars rented there. But when she makes it to the gate on P1, Thomas crashes his car into her. She turns around and returns to P2. In the distance, Thomas looks ready to duel her. A furious Angela pressed on the gas, but Thomas got scared and swerved just before their car collided. Angela is happy and intends to climb back toward P1. But because her hand is still on a handcuff, she lost control of the steering wheel and crashed into a pole instead. This caused his car to spin and injure her. Thomas came to him and said he would help her. But when she approaches her, she stabs his right eye using a tool he found at the car rental office. Thomas finally passes out and the taser slipped out of his hand. Using the handcuffs that had previously bound him, she ties him to the wheel of the car. She then takes his taser. Because of the accident earlier, the car's gasoline leaked and there is a flow of gasoline there. Angela thinks about burning him, but she gives up her intention and leaves him there helpless. But Thomas starts screaming and calling her a whore. This sets her at the peak of her anger. She ends up electrocuting the flow of gasoline while sarcastically wishing Thomas a Merry Christmas. A horrified Thomas is engulfed in the flames and dies as the car explodes. This fire caused fire alarms throughout the parking lot to go on. Finally free, Angela, who is now wet, bloody, and injured, opens the garage gate and limps out into the cold. She desolates Manhattan Christmas morning just as the officers can be heard, making sure that she is okay. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.